Hi everyone. So I'll be talking about my research project. And if you are curious about my background, this is in Saipan. That's not Saipan, that's called Bird Island. It's like a tourist attraction. So I'll start now. Initially, I had planned on discussing the capacities of campuses in the Philippines and Hawaii to compare the infrastructure and resources they have to act upon sustainability initiatives, but to connect it more to the sub-themes in our class, I decided to focus on the learning taking place about sustainable living and if Indigenous knowledge and culture is a part of it. Dr. L advised that I specify what environmentally conscious meant in my proposal because I used that term. To refine that, I am actually discussing student awareness and values toward the environment and Indigenous knowledge. So one research question I have is, what are the different forms of learning about the environment and sustainability accessible to students in Hawaii and the Philippines? So personally, I have seen initiatives on our campus, UH Manoa, even though I've only been here for 2 semesters. So I was a transfer student last fall. I've seen a lot from the infographics posted in our restrooms. I don't know if you guys know about the one where they measure like toilet paper rolls from Hawaii to Washington, D.C. I forgot the number, but it definitely helped me visualize like the amount of waste we produce as a campus annually. That was interesting. And of course, our food court pushing to be more green every semester. I think their recent initiative is about replacing the way we do takeout. They want to adopt a system where it's, I don't know if it's washable. I forgot what it was called, but to address, more the amount of waste from single use, I guess, paper plates, bento boxes, and of course, recycling bins that are spread across every possible sidewalk and building on our campus. I also want to highlight workshops and campaigns that I've seen through working in student services. I know that there are office coordinators that are involved with community organizations that promote farming and more sustainable practices and teaching about Native Hawaiian values through their programming. So when you think about the intention behind sustainable planning, I believe that the cultural and educational component is essential because sustainability then becomes a part of your identity rather than perceiving it as a trend, so it's not something that you just learn about or someone, wanted to share their knowledge and it kind of just, it doesn't stick. So that's what I mean by that. I asked a few students who attended or were attending college in the Philippines about their campuses and their knowledge of climate change. Similarly, there are programs and protocols in place at their universities to keep a clean campus and contribute less to global warming. The Philippines was colonized for a very long time and Indigenous knowledge was also overlooked. So I just wanted to make that note. I asked the students about aspects of the Filipino culture in taking care of the environment. A theme from the responses was the lifestyle. They mentioned pagsasaka and pangingisda, which is farming and fishing. So it is part of their culture, but it made me think of, but they also mentioned how it's part of their industry as a country. There is a concern to take care of the environment because they rely on it and continue to practice that way of life. I share this point because it brings us to assess our current industry here in Hawaii, which is tourism, and same goes for Saipan and Guam, foreign retail businesses, and the excess of imported food. These things devalue culture and the potential of our land and resources to benefit its own people. We learn in the course how Indigenous knowledge has always placed value on the land and water, which made me reflect on the question by Kimmerer in Braiding Sweetgrass. How, in our modern world, can we find our way to understand the earth as a gift again, to make our relations with the world sacred again? I pose it in my second research question. So in other words, how do people, students living modern lives today in Hawaii and the Philippines, shift their mindset to further their learning and practice in sustainable living? The Aloha Aina TED Talk helped us early, early in the course in approaching that question. I'll talk about it more in my paper, but essentially integrating culture in the educational paradigm can transform or transforms the preservation of the environment to be a more personal mission, helping the collective goal of creating more sustainable communities. What I have gained from this research is the desire to learn about Filipino Indigenous knowledge. My research persuades me to explore stories and sayings in my culture about the environment. In the same way, Hawaiians share olis and pule. I may look for organizations too, where I can learn uh, Filipino cultural approaches, if there are any, that promote sustainability. And so that is my project, working title. Thank you, and I hope you guys are all safe.